We got
There
it.
we go.
We got
Hi.
it. So Julia, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. I mean, what better way, right? What better way to have an epic Saturday with someone as epic as you? You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. No, I'm so excited to be chatting with you. I realize my lighting's a little funky, so I apologize if I'm coming off super bright.
That's okay. It happens. I know what you mean. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had that same issue going here and there. I mean, technology. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm looking a little ghostly, but
I love it.
but how are you today?
So, yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I mean, a little bit warm here and there. Hot days. I mean, I'm begging for either a rainy day or a cold day going. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. You're like, I just want something different. I just want to feel. You know what? I'm gonna try to turn this light down for us, so I'm not quite as. There we go. There we go. That's a little bit more
Perfect.
normal color going on.
I like it. So besides that, it's been good here and there. What about you? How's your day doing so far?
It's been good. Just a good lazy Saturday.
Oh,
Honestly, just woke up, curled my hair, got ready to chat with you. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all need those days, right? Those days in which we can just
yes,
kind of throw everything away for a bit and be like, okay, I'm just gonna take this time for myself, and there you go.
absolutely. It's a reset day, and I think that's so important. Especially like in this business, is I think people forget that of like. It's so easy to be like, no, I want to do something every single day, like work. Weekends, I should be, doing all these other things. It's like, it's okay to take a day where you're like, you know what, I'm going to sleep until noon because that's what I need to get through Monday through Friday.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I can understand that. And especially like as you mentioned, the fact that you are like constantly working, and sometimes we get like this idea, right, that you will sleep until you succeed, and like all like things like that. And I did try once that, and it was horrible. I remember that after a month, I was just like, I can't do anything anymore. I mean, you just die.
You burn out. You really do. You do, and you notice it affects your work. It affects your friendships. It affects all the things that kind of fortify you in this long journey that is the entertainment industry. And I think a big misconception is, if you're not doing something constantly, then you're failing.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that it's like a lie we've all fed ourselves, because, there is that feeling of, oh, if I'm not doing something all the time, then like, what am I doing? I want to be able to tell people I'm doing things. So I've recently come to that conclusion, because I used to, just like you were saying, it used to be go. I'll sleep when I'm dead. But I personally have been working to turn that around, even for myself, and I definitely love talking to other actors about that, of like, take a break, take a day, take a nap. It's okay. Like, the industry is not going anywhere.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, I couldn't agree more with that. So yes, as I said before, welcome to the show. It is so amazing to have you here, and tell me, like, how this journey through acting started.
Totally. So I was very fortunate to get exposed to musical theater and acting very young. My mom, who I think is watching, so shout out, Mom, really loved musicals. And so she introduced me and my brother to that when we were like 6. Like we were probably listening to musicals that we were definitely too young to be listening to. And so I just completely fell in love with the art form of music and acting as a form of storytelling. And there's this really great quote, I think it's from Letters to a Young Artist, that says, you get into art to try to recreate the feeling for somebody else that made you fall in love with the art form to begin with. So for me, I was always like, I'm going to do musical theater, and I'm going to create something that someone is going to fall in love with as much as I fell in love with these kinds of stories. And then as I got older, I kind of found I don't quite have the voice for musical theater, but I still, I could act, and I enjoyed that. And so I got started very young, just doing like the church plays, the community plays. And then when I moved to Texas, you kind of had to, like, I'm originally from the Chicago area, and you could kind of do everything because the theater was just sort of this extracurricular. You could sign up for the school play, whether you were in a theater class or not. It was kind of just more open. When I got to Texas, it was very like, no, like, if you want to do acting, if you want to do theater, like, you have to like commit to it. So I got into all the acting classes, and honestly, since like I was 12, I've kind of just been on this journey of and it was Texas and it was school. And so it was a much smaller place and market. And so I was doing just like all the school stuff and really taking like the education seriously. And then that led me to USC, where I studied theater, majored in theater, got my minor in cinema. Wow. And then after graduating, I just stayed in LA and I really started hitting the theater scene, because that was kind of where I was comfortable and what I knew. And I was starting to, I was just starting to like try to move more towards film and TV, and then the pandemic hit. And so everything shut down. And that was a really interesting time too, because it was like, well, here's this art form that I love. Here's this art form that I've, dedicated my life to, and it's gone. Yeah. It's just everything is shut down. And so I think that was a really good lesson of how this industry can adapt and change. And so everyone started doing like Zoom theater or Zoom readings. I started making a lot of videos with my brother. So we started doing more like producing and writing and doing some comedy videos, and I know I'm like so far off from the question you originally asked, but that's just kind of how the journey has been, is watching it evolve and change. Yeah, it's been really a joyful experience. Yeah, absolutely.
And like one of the interesting things here is the fact that like during the pandemic, I mean, we could see like for actor producers, they were like, okay, so we don't have like the space right now. Yeah. We still have the platform. So let's create something. And I remember that as long as I was back when I started this project and then moving on with the interviews here and there, some of the actors would tell me that they were like making this plays like on Zoom or Skype, like things like that. And I was like, and that was like so interesting because that was kind of the message that we are not stopping regarding what's going on, and I think that was totally amazing, but also kind of motivational for everybody else to be like they are continue doing their job, so they can present entertainment, or they can just really present something to us.
Yes.
And that's really cool.
I agree. I know it was so amazing to see how quickly everyone got on board of like, okay guys, we're making this change, let's figure it out. And that's something I've always loved about theater. I mean, theater's always been the scrappy art form, you know what I mean? Like it's always been, we never have budgets, we never have like, the big bucks to spend, and it's always been so amazing to see, particularly theater artists, how they can literally make something from nothing and adapt and change and make stuff that's good. I was seeing some really impressive stuff. And so it was so inspiring. And it's like, now that we're back in physical spaces, it's like, guys, we did the hard part. Like we made it through the pandemic. Like, you want us to go back on stage? Sure. That's the easy part now. So it's been interesting to watch that change.
Yeah, absolutely. And also like the fact, like the whole transition for the audition, you mean that, right?
And now I can hear you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I had like a phone call here, but anyway. So what was I? Yeah. So what I found interesting is like the fact, like the whole transition that the auditions did, right? The fact that now instead of going like a face-to-face, now you will do self-tape, right? And then you will have like lots and lots and lots of self-tapes. And at the same time, I think that also help you to manage to be able to have like a lot of self-tapes, so you can send it over here and there, right?
Yes, I totally agree. And I think the nice thing too about self-tapes is that it's making it easier for actors to have day jobs to support ourselves. Because before it could be really hard. I was doing like a lot of gig work or a lot of freelance work because I needed to be able to drop everything I was doing and go to an audition. Now with the self-tapes, I'm now working at a production company. So it's like, I have some stability. And then, as the auditions come in, I do them on my lunch break, or I do them after work. And it's so nice to have that control over my own calendar and being able to be like, okay, here's all the things I need to balance and schedule. Thankfully, I can do it. I don't have to worry about driving across town, because that was honestly one of the big problems or issues that I know that I faced when we were doing in person. It's not just the audition itself, it's the driving there, it's the finding parking, the amount of times, the amount of times I was like panicked because I was running late to an audition because I got there and there was no parking, and I had to park 3 blocks away, and then I'm walking and I'm sweaty, and like you just show up and you're like, well, now I don't feel great. Whereas like now I just have like my blue background. I've got my ring lights. Like I can take that time. I can take that breath. I can really do and create something that I'm proud of and then send that out. So I love self-tape.
Yeah, absolutely. And also it can, I mean, besides like giving you the time to find like a temporary job to sustain yourself, also it gives you like the time to kind of properly manage it, right? Because now you will have more time to be like, okay, I have a couple of auditions, but I can do it here at home, send them in, and I'm good to go now. And as you mentioned, now you don't have to drive, like you don't have to go like this place and then take like 20 miles to go to the next one and then 15 to the next one, you know, like
exactly.
That is one of the cool things that I kind of discovered with this, the fact that technology came right at hand. And I mean, it was kind of always there, but now we were like able to use it properly, and now we see it like how easy things are, and like especially with this, and that is really cool. The fact that now you can send multiple auditions at once and not having to pay anything or to spend money on gas or, you know, things like that. Time, most of it now you can just be at the comfortable at your home with your laptop, send here and there, and good to go.
And not even to be silly, but like at least, for a lot of women I know, it takes time to do our hair and our makeup, and like to be perfectly honest, there are some times where I just do it once, you know, to get the hair, get the makeup set, and then I just go through all my auditions that I have lined up, and I was like, wow, this was so much more an effective use of my time. Totally. Yeah.
That's so amazing. And now, tell me, like, how you prepare a character. Now, you understand, of course, that depends on the role, right? But like, what are some of the things that you always do to kind of get this mindset ready to start creating this character?
Definitely. So you're totally right. It totally depends on the character. One of the best examples I can use for how to prep for a character is Shakespeare, because there are so many articles and essays about his characters. And so anytime I do a Shakespeare show, my first step in preparing a character is just research. And I love looking up what different themes that people have analyzed about the show, just anything about the character. Like a lot of them will have like feminist papers on it, and it's just like a different way of looking at the character, looking at the relationship. So I really like doing that. I like getting as much information, and to be perfectly honest, from people who've spent way more time researching that play than I have. You know, there's some people who dedicate their lives to his work, and so I'm like, okay, they clearly know more than I do. I'm gonna trust the experts. So I definitely start there when I'm doing something that has a previous history, and then I try to find how I identify with them. And a really good piece of advice, you know, I've gotten before is don't find what's similar with you and the character, and then just be you. Like I remember someone was saying that to me about when I was playing Juliet. They were like, you don't have to act young, you look young, so you can just say the words and be, and you don't have to put on this fake voice or like, you know, this little cutesy character. They're just like, just trust that you were cast for a reason, and, you know, memorize your lines, do your research, but then you also kind of have to let a lot of that go, because it can be so easy to get super stuck in like, okay, I said I was going to do this thing on this line, and then you become like rigid, and it almost becomes mechanical. So it's this really interesting balance of like, do your research, you know, come up with your backstory if you need to flesh something out, really know and understand your character's relationships to everybody else in the play. That just gives you a lot more nuances of, oh, I hate that person, but I love that person. That person's my best friend. And even if it's not written anywhere in the script, it's going to add so much more flavor to how you interact with everybody on stage. And for me, watching a show, that's always the most fun for me, is when I'm watching a show, I'm like, oh, okay, I can totally tell that like those characters have a history, and like those characters have a history, and so I as an audience member enjoy that. And so when I'm flipped and when I'm the one on stage, I want to be able to give that gift to people as well, of how can I make this character a fully fleshed out human being.
Okay. Now let's say that one day I call you, and then I will tell you that I'm gonna play a character. Now, based on my 20 minutes of experience, and based on what you know, what do you think that are some of the things that I need to consider first before either when I'm when I'm about to start create this character? Like, what advice could you give to me for someone that has 20 minutes of experience, basically?
Totally. So I think a very easy trap to fall into when you're new to acting is judging the character. I think a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people who will read a script and be like, well, I don't want to play this character. She's mean. And it's like, no, she's not mean. She just, you look back and look at her circumstances that led to that area, or to that, perception that you have of this person. And I would say that your job as the actor is to take the character you now have and find as much compassion and understanding for who they are and why they are the way they are. And then from there, so you're not coming in with, oh, I'm the villain. You're coming in with, I am a hardworking person who has had some bad stuff happen to me in my past, and that is why I'm showing up and I'm fighting for myself. And maybe it comes off as mean to other people, but I know that I'm just trying to stick up for myself. And I think that can really, really change how you approach your characters. And so that's what I would say. I would tell you to look at your character and just start with compassion for them and try to figure out why they are the way they are without judgment. So
basically it would be like, it's not about you. I mean, you are just kind of the instrument of this character that is going to kind of use your body to tell a story.
Exactly. You are the vessel of this story. You're not bringing your judgment. You are doing your best to truthfully, translate it from the page to stage, literally. Okay.
Yeah. I love it. And what are some of the things that you love the most when you are in this process of character creation?
Ooh, I love really digging into character creation with my fellow actors. I think that's something that's so fun when you do get the chance to sit down and talk with one of your castmates and be like, okay, how do we think our characters relate? Because then once you are in communication with each other, the story and the backstory just comes to life and it just starts sparking. And you can do it on your own, but I do think it's so, so beneficial to be able to talk to the other people. And that is something that I have found is harder on a film set because it's so quick. And a lot of times I've met the people that morning, or we had maybe one rehearsal. And that's something I've always really loved about theater, is that it's just months, or, if you're lucky, you have a month or two of rehearsal. If you're not so lucky, you have maybe like 3 weeks and you're like, okay, go. So yeah, I would definitely say that's my favorite part about character creation, is just really getting to honor the art of my fellow castmates as well, and being like, what can we come together and create? I value you as a creative, you value me. Let's put our brains together and then let's just play. It's just playing, and it's like a big game of make-believe. It's so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And also like the fact that sometimes you get the chance to do like a lot of cool stuff, and also being able to learn new stuff that even though that it's going to be for that character, you are learning that stuff. So, just for fun or who knows, right? And I think also that is very interesting. The fact that, for example, that on a film set, I mean, you just go to the film and that's it. But one of the things that I have discovered with theater is the fact that you create like this bond, because it's not gonna be like only one performance and that's it. It's gonna be like multiple, or even constantly months of, depending of course of the performance. But the fact that you can create like this bond, or kind of like this this connection with everyone around, and also the fact that that each performance, regardless that it's gonna be like the same show, it's still gonna be a new one, because new audience members will be there and new people wants to see what's up with this.
Yes, or things go wrong.
Exactly. Yes. So I find that very interesting, and also kind of I mean, I love movies, of course, but I do think that at least with theater, you can get the chance. I mean, as we, the audience, can get the chance to have like a more real connection with the actors that we are seeing at that moment, right?
Yes, and there's something so tangible about being in the same, the same space because we on stage, we can feel it. We can feel the energy you're giving us, just, hopefully as much as you can feel the energy we're giving you. And it really becomes just this beautiful moment of connection for everybody. Okay,
I love it. And what advice could you give to new upcoming actors? So let's say also that I'm going to start into the acting business. What advice would you give to me?
So something that always came up in college for me is there was a big debate between, do you get an agent first or a manager first? Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, oh, they're interchangeable, They're not. And I didn't realize that until a couple years out here of, the agent wants you to be this finished fully polished package that they can just say, you know, here's Julia, hire her. Whereas a manager, and I'm very fortunate to start working with Michelle Zeitlin over at Moore's Productions and Management, will actually sit with you and be like, let's go over your headshots. Let's see what's working. Let's see what's not. How are you presenting yourself? How are you pitching yourself? Like, let's change the design of your resume around. And so a manager is really going to manage you, literally, like, and they're going to develop you. And I think it's so important that people understand that if you're new to this, start looking for a manager who understands you and is willing to develop you, because I think you can waste a lot of time, doing the agent research and sending out your stuff and being really hard on yourself when you don't hear stuff, when you don't get a response. And so that's something that I kind of wish I had been told, was like, maybe focus your energy on that. I know that's definitely a more like practical piece of advice, maybe than inspirational, but I definitely do think that, and I've seen people who have, managers that changed their lives. I mean, my manager got me my first international feature film. I could not have done that without her, you know what I mean? And even with that, like, I still struggle finding theatrical representation. So it's like, I have a manager, I have voiceover, I have commercial. It's like, even with the credits I do have, I'm still struggling. So if you're new, I would definitely be like, okay, start with the manager. They're really going to show you what you don't even know you don't know about this business.
Yeah. And also, I think, I would assume that also that gives you the time to focus more on your performances, right? To kind of focus more like on your careers, and you have someone that basically has your back, checking like that corner,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it feels so good to be able to be like, well, I have a question, about this thing. Like, it's always so hard when you're on your own, being like, well, I don't know, who do I ask my questions to? And that's what a manager will do for you. That manager will be exactly what you're saying. That person in your corner who's like, okay, yeah, no, that's a standard practice. Okay, no, that isn't. Like, you can negotiate for more, or, this one isn't paying, but this is a really great casting director. I think you should go for it. And so they really help you kind of figure out the nuances of building a career in here. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to do the paid stuff. Well, there's a lot of unpaid stuff that have really great directors, or there's unpaid stuff that, maybe you just want to get in front of that casting director because they're also going, they're casting this small project as a favor to somebody, but they actually, cast non-union features. So it's been really interesting to work with her and see the nuances of literally crafting your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Wow. Now, if you could describe a film in which all of the characters you have played at the moment will gather for your birthday. So it's basically all your characters is day one.
Yeah.
You, like the you, and they're gonna celebrate your birthday. Tell me, what would be the name of that film?
The name of the film would be Everybody Dies at the End, because for some reason, I'm always cast as someone who dies. I've died in Steel Magnolias. I've died in Romeo and Juliet. I was just in a play called The Diaries of Adam and Eve. It ends with me dying. Like, I don't know what it is. People see me and they're like, we should kill her. That would be the name of my movie. Everybody Dies at the End.
Everybody dies. So we're talking that it's going to be like a dramedy.
Yeah, it'll probably be like a murder mystery where they all just like drop dead at the end.
I like it. Okay. I love it. Now, what about describing your whole career in a drink or even a meal?
Ooh. I would say, okay, do you know the snack Puppy Chow? Okay, it's this snack that it's like Chex and chocolate and like just a bunch of random stuff, and you put it together and it makes something delicious. I feel like that's my career. I feel like I do all this random stuff and it comes together to give me really cool opportunities in ways that I just like didn't see coming. So I definitely think it's like a fun mix of all this random stuff coming together to make something great.
Fair enough. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And you should definitely try Puppy Chow if you haven't.
I'm gonna definitely definitely have to try one of those. That sounds like fun. I love it. Now, like, what motivates you? We all have those days in which we just want to quit. Regardless of how good things might be or not, we think that it's been a waste of time. I mean, like, getting inside into all of this toxic thoughts is way too easy, right? Mm-hmm. But for you, what usually puts you out of it so you can continue in this journey that you have been creating for so many years now?
This is going to sound so nerdy, but honestly, when I need like a hit of inspiration, I just listen to a really good musical theater song. And it usually, hearing the character and the story and the music, I'm reminded, it transports me, you know, and I'm reminded of how just cool this career is and cool this job is, that I've chosen to be in a job that literally tells stories and creates things that move other people, that move people I might not ever meet, you know, inspire them to do their own thing. And so whenever I need a hit of inspiration, I go back to what made me fall in love with theater again. And that's it, it's always going to come back to musical theater.
I love it. And also, I mean, it's like one of the things that I've discovered is that sometimes we, the audience, we tend to forget that that actors are the human beings, you know, and it's, I mean, and sometimes they're gonna have like those days. And also, I think it is okay when you have like those days, right? I mean, I think I would say that it's kind of normal. I mean, I don't know, but I would assume that is kind of normal to have like this feeling in which you're like, okay, I feel kind of a little bit down. But of course, like the key here is for you to get up, otherwise you're gonna stuck there for a long time. But that is so cool, the fact that you kind of motivate yourself with the same thing. So it's kind of you know, so I find that very interesting. Okay.
And it's exactly what you're saying too. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's like when you have the down days, you're able to be like, well, yeah, I didn't need to solve my whole career in one day. That's not how this works. Like this is the type of career that you're in it for the long haul. And it's like, as long as you're making even like a 1% improvement every single day, you're doing fine. You're doing good. You're doing great even. And it's so hard to remind ourselves of that, because it is hard, especially with social media, you know, saying, oh, this person just booked that film, like that person, you know, their career is really taking off. And it's like, okay, but you're doing, you know, you're farther along today than you were last week. And that's all that matters. And it's like, if we were able to just kind of remind ourselves, and it's the hardest thing to remind yourself about, but that's also something that, you know, I've been working towards too, is just the, like, you know, incremental improvements, and we're doing good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a constant struggle, but you can go one step at a time instead of go all out and be like, because like in one of the interviews that I have, they were telling me that even though that like the proper way to be like going step by step, but if you get everything at once, which it rarely happens, but if it happens, now like the key here would be how to maintain it. You know, because we have seen like so many times that these amazing actors that suddenly we don't hear anything from them like in 10, 15 years, and then suddenly they appear and we're like what happened? Right?
Where'd you go?
I think also like the key here is to remember that, because as you mentioned, I mean, social media, which is amazing, at the same time kind of sells us this fake idea that you need everything like this. You know, you want everything like this. You need to do this. You need to do this. You want success. But yet again, I mean, of course, everybody wants to be successful. But I just think that one of the things here that sometimes we forget is to enjoy the ride. I mean, why focusing on one thing and not enjoying that process until you get there? You know what I mean?
I 100% agree. And honestly, and that's why I tried to see a lot of theater, to watch movies, to exactly what you're saying. It's enjoying the process, reminding myself why I love it so much, and then being like, you know what? I did a good job today. I'm going to go hang out with my friends tonight. I don't need to write another screenplay tonight. Yeah. Like, it's exactly what you're saying. And I think that's something that's so hard in this career, is that it feel like your personal life and your professional life feel like they can go really hand in hand, especially because you become friends with a lot of the people that you've worked with. And so that line gets really blurred. And you do have to remind yourself sometimes that, like, no, you can just take time for your personal life. Like, your personal and professional don't always have to be one. Like, take a break.
At the end, take a break. It's okay. I mean, as you mentioned before, the industry will be there. You know, it's okay for you to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna take the day off, stay home, probably like order a pizza, watch a marathon of a show, and
if the pandemic did not kill this industry, you going out for a drink with your friends is also not going to kill this industry. Like, it's okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
And like, my last question here is, what can we expect from you in the future?
Yes, so I am actually going to be in a play. We start rehearsals in August. It's called Rise, an Immersive Experience, and it's about gun control and gun safety and guns in high schools. So it's unfortunately very timely. And so we're going to be doing that through Hero Ignite, which is a subset of Hero Theater. So people can learn more about it at herotheater.org. And I think it's going to be really powerful. And honestly, I'm a little scared, like only because it's such, it's a topic that we're really going to do our absolute best to treat with care and respect, and hopefully be able to pull back a curtain on what our kids in high school are facing nowadays.
It's very recent, and it's crazy. I mean, here in Mexico, we have here like a lot of news going, like shootings in schools, also like in the 4th of July, like all of those things here and there. But like the fact that you're gonna you're gonna play in this project, that is so cool. And also I think it is something that we need, like to have like more attention to it, because it's crazy.
It's definitely going to be art as an educational tool more than entertainment. It's this.
I get it. Totally. Wow, that's so amazing. And you know what? I'm super sure that everything is going to be amazing, because the fact that you love it, and as simple.
Oh, I think I lost your audio real quick.
Hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the bank keep calling me because I owe them money, but that's a long story. Anyway, that's another story. Anyway, what was I? Oh yeah. So like the fact that you love acting. I mean, as simple as it may sound, I mean, it is amazing, and we all know that sometimes it can take even decades or even your whole lifetime for you to discover what you want to do in life, what makes you happy, because that is like a constant question that I will ask myself like every day, like what makes me happy, what I want to do, like what is, like if I'm gonna do something, why I'm doing it, instead of just doing it and not like having like these questions to it, because I do think that sometimes we tend to forget that we're human, that we have feelings, and we tend to, and we will keep this routine over and over and over and over and over. And then like at some point you're gonna feel like, like what did I just do? Like something interesting that happened to me like last year is that I used to work for this company, right? I worked for 3 years. They fired me. And funny enough, even though that they fired me, I felt relief.
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, now I got the time to do what makes me happy. Now I can find something that actually makes me happy, instead of going into this suicidal routine, because it can be very frustrating, the fact that you were only living for the weekends. The other day I was checking this report in which they were saying that if you are only living for the weekends, and let's say that you were like on your mid-20s, your lifespan would be like around couple like 11 years left.
Oh my gosh.
Like that thing hit my head. I was like, oh shit. And as I said before, we tend to forget that we're human, that we need to enjoy, that we need to find what makes us happy, regardless of what it is. If you want to be a doctor, lawyer, or work even in a corporation, whatever, but just make sure that do what makes you happy, because life is too short. And one of the things here is that I don't want to, when I reach 60, 70, or 80, be like this type of person, be like, I could have done this, or I could have tried this, or I could have done this, or why did I do this instead of that? Like make sure that you don't have any regrets. So when you're old, you be like, I did what I wanted. Time's up. What I mean?
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. I 100% feel that.
I love it. So, Julia, what can I say? I mean, your career is amazing. I love it. It is super sure that a lot of epicness are coming soon. Keep me on that. I mean, there's gonna be a moment that the next conversation is gonna be, where am I gonna put more awards on the wall? I can't. It's cool.
We hope.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's gonna
happen.
Thank you. It's amazing what you do. As I said, it is super inspirational, and I think that is a message. That is something that we need right now, especially in this whole crazy months, crazy years recently. I mean, we need to search people that can motivate us, that can inspire us. And the fact that you are doing what you like and you're making it happen, and you're making results out of it, that I think that's proof enough that dreams can come true, and we should all give it a try.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a pleasure talking with you today.
I love it. So before I send you off, I need to send you off properly, with an epic send-off,
Okay.
You have some more episodes before, exactly what is about to happen, but if not, I love it because then I can surprise you. But before that, I also want to thank those who are watching this right now. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go follow Julia right now. Let's make her viral, hashtag Team Julia. She's amazing. She's awesome. And now, time for the surprise. So.
Oh boy. I feel like I should be waving.
At some point we're gonna have live audience, but in the meantime, keep being amazing, keep being awesome. Have an epic rest of the weekend. Yeah, it's the bank again. I'm so sorry, but anyway, thank you so much. Have an epic weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.